In this video, we're going to consider the problems that ask you to find the inverse of a function. Now, before we do all the problems, we should remember that to find the inverse, there are basically two steps. The first step is the easy one, and that is to switch x and y. Because when you're finding an inverse, your x, which is your input, switches with your y, which is your output. So step one, switch x and y. Step two, which is the harder one, because it's different in every problem, is to solve for y. All right, so let's do this first one. Remember, g of x can be thought of as y. So when we switch x and y, we get x equals 2y over y plus 3. Now, in order to solve for y, I am going to somehow need to get a single y. And first thing we're going to do is going to make it look a little more complex first, but we're going to get rid of that fraction by multiplying by y plus 3. Now we can distribute, and we get xy plus 3x equals 2y. The problem is we're trying to solve for y, and there's a y over here and a y over here. So we want to next get the y's on the same side. So I'm going to move this xy, subtract it from here, so I only have 3x, and also subtract it from here, and I get 2y minus xy. Now that my y's are together, I can factor out a y. So I have y times 2 minus x equal to 3x, and now I'm able to simply divide, and I have solved for y, 3x over 2 minus x. And we can write our final answer saying g inverse of x equals 3x over 2 minus x. All right, let's try another one. In this one, we're asked to find the inverse of a to the x equals 3 times 2 to the x. We should notice at the very beginning, x is in the exponent, and we're going to be needing logarithms to do this. But let's start off by just switching x and y. So x equals 3 times 2 to the y. In our process of getting y by itself, the first thing we want to do is divide by 3. So we have x over 3 equals 2 to the y. And now I need to solve for y. And when y is in the exponent here, we're going to do that by using logarithms. We're going to rewrite this as a logarithm. So we're going to say, okay, I've got log. The base of my exponent is 2, so it's going to be log base 2 of x over 3 equals y. Remember, the logarithm always equals the exponent. We solve for the exponent. Our last step is to simply rewrite this as a inverse equals log base 2 of x over 3. All right, let's try one more. So this one we're starting with a log equation. Let's switch x and y first. X equals 4 log base 5 of y plus 2 plus 1. Now we're going to do this like we would solve a normal equation. To get y by itself, we get rid of the last thing that happens, which is this plus 1. We subtract 1, and we get x minus 1 equals 4 log base 5 of y plus 2. Our next step is to divide by 4. X minus 1 over 4 equals log base 5 of y plus 2. Now we have to get what's inside the logarithm. And in order to get this, the opposite of a log is an exponent. The base of my exponent is going to be 5. The exponent is actually what the logarithm equals, x minus 1 over 4, and that's going to equal y plus 2. One last step, 5 to the x minus 1 all over 4 minus 2 equals y, or we could rewrite that y. Rather than writing y, we could write c inverse of x. And we're done with those problems.